there. Welcome to Portage County Matters. This is a show to help you get informed about what's happening in your Portage County and Central Wisconsin community. I'm Patty Dreier, Portage County Executive, and I'm really glad to be here today. My guest today is Lauri Rockman. She's a community volunteer who's involved in hunger and poverty prevention issues in Portage County. And before we delve into more details about that set of issues for all of us to be mindful of here in Portage County, I thought I'd start out with a few county government news points again. Let's start with solid waste. We're continuing the story, if you would. We're continuing to make progress on our solid waste study, and after meeting with municipal partners, as I had mentioned last month, on the July 27th meeting, we had a gathering of towns hosted by John Holdridge, the chair of the town of Hull, and he's our town representative on the solid waste board. The town representatives voted to go ahead and give the solid waste board their recommendation for us to enter negotiations with Veolia. That's the firm that runs our material recovery facility, or MRF as we affectionately refer to it, in Plover. And the Veolia organization had expressed an interest in purchasing the MRF, and so we didn't want to take those steps and enter any kind of negotiations without making sure that all of our solid waste recycling partners in the county, that's 20 municipalities, would give us their blessing, their go-ahead. And so basically, I know that we have a contract with Veolia till 2019, but the bottom line is it's time for us to learn what is Veolia thinking about, and that will help us be better informed to make decisions together about our solid waste and recycling future in Portage County. This isn't a decision that any of us take anything except seriously, very seriously. So at the solid waste board meeting this last week, actually in August, as of the taping of the show, the board took the recommendation from the towns and will now take those next steps to negotiate with Veolia. It's a cautious set of steps, and there are no promises, and we'll still learn more and then bring that information back to all of our municipal partners so that together, again, we can make the best decision. I noted a lot more background details about our solid waste story here in Portage County during the beginning of the show last month. So if you're interested in recapping those details, I invite you to go to our county's website at www.co.portage.wi.us. That's where you can watch any of the videos that you might have missed over the last year or so. Next month, I expect that I'll be providing you with an update about leadership of our solid waste department. We've been without a director of the solid waste department for quite some time, and actually my office has been functioning as the director of the solid waste department, along with solid waste analyst John Gardner and solid waste manager Jeff Ludzinski, that you'll meet down at the transfer station if you ever bring anything down there, and then also our finance department staff. So we've been sort of sharing that load together. It'll be time to take the next step on directorship for the department. So again, I'll highlight that next month. The next news item I wanted to offer you was an update on the McDill Dam issue. We're following that closely. County HH continues to be closed over the McDill Dam in Whiting, and at their August meeting, the County Board of Supervisors voted to contribute $10,000 to the engineering study for the full length of the embankment that lies under County Road HH. And this will enable us to figure out what the problem is and then what we need to do to fix it, all of us together. And the study costs a total of $25,000. The cost of that study is shared by the City of Stevens Point, the Lake District, and the county. The Village of Whiting had contributed some other amounts of their funds, about $5,000, at the time that the leak was discovered. So it's a partnership that goes 4 ways at this particular time. By the time this show airs, the engineering study will be completed. It consists of 15 borings and some infrared studies. It's fascinating to learn from the highway staff members who are observing the study, the engineering study while it's going on, to make sure that it can satisfy the confidence that we'll need out of the highway department in order to go forward with what we need to do to make sure the road is safe. But it's fascinating to learn what the study entails and what kinds of equipment are being used and how we're using new technology to help us get to the bottom of the answers here that we need. The Village of Whiting is not interested in continuing to be the owner of the dam. They've made that public. I attended a meeting where that was very clear. And also, neither is Portage County. Our county's interest is primarily focused on ensuring that we can safely open County HH again. Without the engineering study, we just can't move ahead. So there are still some citizens that I hear from that are misunderstanding what the relationship is between the county investing in an engineering study for a dam and a road. But really, since the dam lies under the road, we are part of the solution here, and we have to be. Actually, since school's starting now, and it's important to know that everybody know that the school district, the Stevens Point Area Public Schools, have taken on some additional costs as a result of the County HH road closure. There are other logistical challenges too. So, it's very important that we continue to work together on this issue and resolve it to get the road open as soon as we can. So I wanted everybody to know we're continuing to keep this on the front burner. Another update I wanted to offer you was related to the 2012 budget. After 3 full days this week of budget hearings, I'm getting a clear view of how the 2012 budget will look and how it will work as we continue a reasonable level of service during these financially challenging times for everybody. I will have a budget in final draft form by September 14th, and then this fall we'll go through the whole process of making sure that everybody gets the opportunity to help shape that result and comment and so on and so forth. I'm continuing to encounter a few departments that are sort of stuck in the past way of doing things in Portage County, but I believe we are making progress, and we know that change is hard sometimes. It takes some getting used to. A new way, though, is the only way for us as we develop the next generation of county government. It just has to be. And it's imperative that we reach across all departments to share more resources when it makes sense to do so. I believe that we are making headway, and I wanted to provide you with a couple of different examples. We have 2 departments, for example, that will share a dietitian, which had previously been handled through 2 different staff members in 2 separate departments. So that teaming up for dietitian services is one example of a bit of progress I believe that we're making in the county. We have 3 other departments which are really seriously investigating options for sharing staff. That's Parks, Facilities, and Highway. There's different staff capacities that are needed in each department at different times of the year, but there are some other ways that I believe that we'll be able to achieve some savings. But we're in some discussions, we're doing some calculations, and we're still working ourselves through the feasibility analysis here to make sure that the design is smart and that it'll save money while we maintain a standard level of service. So hopefully I'll have better things to report next time about how we've been able to show that that's worth a serious pilot test this coming year. Portage County's debt will be paid off in 2012, and so we're preparing to make decisions now for the next 3 years or so of capital projects, and those are projects that are over $25,000, so that we can put together a wise borrowing plan. And the borrowing plan is really important to our county's financial portfolio, just like it is oftentimes for us at home. And so I want you to give my office a call if you want to discuss what's on that capital plans list. We'll be having capital planning committee meetings coming up over the month of September so that we can get the portfolio put together with a wise plan that will become part of the county's budget planning process. Next month, I'm sure I will have more information to share with you about our next year's budget and the years beyond, so please stay tuned for that. There's just so much happening in county government today. I just this last week heard another department head say that he hadn't ever worked this hard in 25 to 30 years that he's been on the county staff. So, you know, that's happening everywhere, and I think it needs to happen because these times are so dynamic. We're changing and working through the changes of all of the human resource rules that come in a different future with a different union role that will be in the public workplace. We have a new way of budgeting. We have strategic planning going on and so much more. So I'll just look forward to answering your questions and inviting you to get your questions answered, to get involved in helping us shape this next generation of county government. So there's the update for today. It's time now to turn to my guest, Lauri Rockman. Lauri, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Lauri is a retired staff member after 30 years with the county. She worked in the Department of Health and Human Services, and really truly one of the people who, to me, is a hero in our community, who does what is so important for families, for children in need. So thank you for all of that service.
Well, thank you very much.
But also, Lauri stays involved. She stays involved with hunger and poverty prevention issues, and in particular, Lauri, you're a founder of the Empty Bowls event, and that's one of the focus areas for our show today. So anyway, welcome again, but I'm just so interested in having everybody learn about what Empty Bowls is all about. So,
wonderful.
Yeah.
Empty Bowls came about one day shortly after the Hunger and Poverty Prevention Partnership was founded, which is a community group of people concerned about hunger and poverty issues. And that group has several initiatives that it does, and we needed a funding mechanism, obviously, for those things to move forward. So a colleague of mine at Health and Human Services saw an article in the Milwaukee paper about an Empty Bowls event in Milwaukee, and we looked at it and thought, this would be a cool thing and something innovative and creative for Portage County to do to raise money to fund the initiatives that we were doing. So we got together a group, took it to the partnership, formed a committee, and now 10 years later we are looking at the 10th anniversary event of Empty Bowls.
Wow. When does it take place again, Lauri?
It is this year. It's October 15th, which is a Saturday, as it always is, at Spash from 11 to 2. And the money that Empty Bowls raises goes towards, now, because it has been so successful and increases every year, we are able to fund the initiatives of the Hunger Partnership, but also to do community grants to community organizations and food pantries to address hunger issues in our community. All the money stays local. Everybody's a volunteer, so all the money that people give to Empty Bowls, other than a few, you know, printing costs and that kind of thing, goes towards solving hunger issues. And just this morning, I added up all the money over the last 9 events that we've had, and it's over $210,000 in those first 9 years that we were raised, that all went locally. So,
wow. Actually, I know it's on my calendar. I just couldn't remember. There's so many appointments on that calendar.
I'm sure you do.
I don't get a chance to remember very well, but you said October 15th. Now, one of the things that I was looking at was the Hunger and Poverty Profile document that I get in my office from the Hunger and Poverty Prevention Partnership to give me updates about the trends related to hunger and poverty in Portage County. And I got to say, I'm a little bit surprised and saddened that we have some of the statistics that we have, and so that's one of the reasons why I really take it to heart that this is something I'm committed to continuing to work on as a leader here in Portage County. And I just want to highlight one of those stats that, to me, I think the folks out who are listening to this show really need to know about. It says here that the poverty rate increased faster in Wisconsin from 2001 than any other state. Now, I know that one doesn't speak specifically to Portage County, where we have probably about 10% of our population, according to the census figures. About 10% are in hunger, poverty-related need here. But to have in the middle of this egg-producing community that we have, here in Wisconsin, poverty has increased faster in Wisconsin since 2001 than in any other state.
Yes, isn't that
Why?
sad?
Why do
I
you
don't
suppose
know.
that is? Any idea?
I have no idea, and it obviously, as you say, it's a Wisconsin statistic, so it may apply more to bigger cities, to Milwaukee and Kenosha and places like that than in Portage County. I'd like to think that we have a very good, strong, collaborative network here that's addressing hunger needs, so that although we may have a lot of people, and more than we had several years ago, who are below the poverty line, that through a variety of resources we're able to meet that need.
No, yeah, and one of the other things that, well, I was reading it in the paper recently, but also it's listed on the front of this newsletter. It talks about emergency food requests and requests for food assistance. Lauri, I know you're as familiar with these statistics as anybody. I mean, wow, trend is
obviously
up, growing.
Yes,
it's got a sharp incline.
Right. Over 30,000 individuals last year needed emergency food help. And that was from a variety of agencies, obviously. And the cool thing is that we were able to meet that need as a community. Many communities have reported being unable to meet the need and the requests of individuals. So while it's a concern, I think as a community we should be proud of the ongoing collaboration that addresses this need and many others in our community.
One of the things that I just was talking with Erin Olson about in my office, she's the director of the Central Wisconsin Resiliency Project. I've just, I don't know, within the last couple of weeks. And one of the things that she made clear to me is, Patty, in Portage County, we don't have a shortage of food. We have a shortage of the connections between where the food is and those who are hungry. And so in trying to bridge those gaps, that's where some of this, you know, the important capacity building lies.
Absolutely.
And the challenge lies for us.
Right, and I think there's a lot of creative energy around in the Resiliency Project as an example, and in the partnership in finding ways to get that food where it needs to go. The Hunger Partnership sponsors the Giving Gardens, for instance, and there's, I believe, 8 this year, and where all the produce that is raised is then donated to pantries, so that it gets fresh local produce gets in the hands of people who might otherwise not have it.
One of the things about the Giving Gardens, if I remember right, is there was a lot of volunteer involvement.
Yes.
So tell everybody how that goes if they don't know, because I know we have one of the gardens right outside of the Department of Health and Human Services.
Correct. It's all that program is one of the initiatives of the Hunger Partnership. So people who are interested in sponsoring a garden, for instance, many businesses have one, and the employees work that garden.
Awesome.
Or else we recruit volunteers to go. You know, any questions that people have about these issues, you can come back to the Hunger Partnership's website and get more information and contact us if you want to get involved. So, you know, we are always looking for people with fresh ideas and an interest in volunteering in whatever capacity.
And oftentimes people who like to grow things or to make bowls.
Or to make bowls.
So tell us about that. Tell us about I brought my bowl along, I have to say. This was mine from last year. This was such a fun thing. When you come in the door at the Empty Bowls event, you get to choose a bowl and you get to go home with it. This one's on my desk in the county executive's office, so I just love it.
Yeah, it's such a fun event, which is why so many people come, I think, and participate and stand in a very long line because people line up early in order to get in. But what happened in the beginning, the way Empty Bowls works, is that professionals donate soup bowls like these, and people come in and choose a bowl. They're all laid out on tables, and then fill it with soup that's been donated by local restaurants. And then there's entertainment and there's other things, and other food as well that's donated. But then they're able to take the bowl home as a reminder that somebody's bowl is always empty. So what has happened though for us is that Empty Bowls has grown. The first year that we did Empty Bowls, we hoped to make $3,000 and we made $6,000.
Wow.
And so as it has increased every year, there isn't enough professional capacity to supply us with the bowls that we need. We had over 1,000 people last year at Empty Bowls, and we have 1,300 bowls ready for this event. So now what we do is we hold community bowl making events. Again, some businesses sponsor them for their employees. A church, several churches sponsor them for parishioners. We have community ones. And so some of these bowls, let me show you another one here. all these cute polka dots are made by community members. And so those are in amongst the professional bowls, and there's even lovely bowls made by children.
Yes. Oh, look at this one with the flower on the bottom.
Sorry for all this racket.
That's all right. This is the sound of empty bowls.
The sound of empty bowls.
Wow.
Look at this lovely one. So there's just all kinds of bowls, and people get to choose, and we keep new bowls coming out so they're not all out at the beginning. So part of what's cool is the people who participate all year long when we're having these community events making bowls, the people who are volunteering at the event, obviously. 25 restaurants last year donated soup.
And it was delicious,
yeah,
I have to tell you.
Yeah, they do a really good job of being creative with what they offer, so it's not just, you know, chicken noodle. And then the churches, many of our local churches, they donate cookies. The members of the church make cookies and donate those. So that all of those pieces from all different sectors of our community come together. And families come, there's a clown, there's, you know, children event, you know, pumpkin decorating contests and
I remember
things
Tom
going
Pease
on.
last year, for
Tom
example.
Pease has been with us every year, bless his heart. He volunteers and comes every year.
Everybody was active, I'm telling you.
Oh, even the adults love him too, absolutely. So it's just a fun event, and at the end, then that money goes and funds the Giving Gardens. It funds the mobile pantry that takes food out to seniors and people in the rural areas of our community that don't have ready access to pantries that are in Stevens Point. And then half of that money gets given away to Operation Bootstrap, the Boys and Girls Club summer lunch program. There's a church youth group that puts on meals for low-income people. All kinds of initiatives around the community that money goes to support.
So if you look at a year's time, you know, everybody's out there. You've got a planning team. I've attended a couple of those. I know there's a lot of folks working all year long on just the planning of the event alone. Then you've got people making bowls all year long and gathering them into some central places until you begin to set up the event, and then now you have all of your other folks that are creating the food for the event and are sharing their talents and their wares and so on. When you add all of that up, how many volunteers do you suppose, would you even just guess, that support this kind of initiative in our community?
Oh gosh, I want to say 400, maybe 400 or 500 if you added all the different people that attend the events and make cookies and make soup and make bowls and
all to embrace these
that's without the people just attending the event, which is over 1,000. So
so you get tickets, right? We buy some tickets ahead of time. Tell everybody about what it costs and how to get tickets.
$11 this year. It's the first time we have raised the cost. It was always 10. Other empty bowls are at 12 and 15, and we want to make it accessible, particularly for families to bring kids. So
and help teach kids through this event. And,
So it costs $11, and you take the bowl home, and you get fed, and you get entertained, and there's opportunities to buy T-shirts and, you know, empty bowl logo things. Yes, and we have a fabulous raffle every year. And one of the things we started last year, and this, mind the clanging again. This bowl is an example. There will be several professionally made bowls. This is just one that will be on eBay for an auction, and that will happen in September sometime. That those will happen, and those will be larger size bowls than just soup size. We have some wonderful raffle prizes, and people can buy raffle tickets either prior to the event from a committee member or at the event. Tom Daling from Liers creates a necklace for us every year. He's been wonderful. Diane Bywaters does a wonderful painting. Many businesses donate various kinds of things that go into raffle prize baskets.
And you have sponsors.
And we have sponsors. Businesses that have sponsored every year and helped with the cost. A good half of the money we raise comes through sponsorships. We're a little low on sponsorships this year.
So it's not too late to get involved if anybody wants to become a sponsor. And then how do... Okay, so maybe I want to volunteer and I haven't yet, or maybe I want to become a sponsor. What are the ways that I should get connected? What's the best way?
If you want to volunteer at the event, we now do that through Volunteers Rock. So it's a computerized sign-up
Through
process.
United Way.
Through United Way. And that availability will go online, I believe, right after Labor Day. So, and the slots fill up fast. There's a good 60 or so volunteer slots over the course of the day, including setup and takedown, where we particularly need people to stay after and help us break down. But right after Labor Day, people can go in and slot where they want to work and what time. So anyone who's interested in that should do that right after Labor Day.
Mark me down. Just mark me down. Choose.
I will.
I'd
want
be
to serve
happy.
soup. Yeah. You want to serve
oh yeah,
soup.
that's right. We did talk about that.
We
And
did.
a few words that we'll get to say at the 10-year anniversary. I look forward to that.
Yes, which, absolutely. And we're going to have a cake, and so
Fantastic.
just kind of to celebrate that 10-year mark and that we're still here and people are still supporting it. But volunteering for other things, wanting to be a sponsor, wanting to be a part of the planning team, all those things, you can get contact information again at our website. You can call me personally or anyone that you know on the committee. The committee does meet year-round. We get December off. And then we start again in the planning. It takes a lot to pull this together and have it work smudely. So
dedication.
Yeah, but it's fun.
And I have to say, one time I was sitting at a falls prevention meeting. It's an initiative, a coalition that we have out of the Aging and Disability Resource Center, because so many seniors, especially as they become older and a little more frail, when they fall, there are some major issues in their lives, and sometimes they lose their chance to live at home because they might break a hip, for example. It doesn't heal so well as they grow older. And so anyway, one of the times we were talking about some of the Health and Human Service members going over to an individual's home related to falls prevention, and it turned out that they opened the cupboard of this individual, and there really literally was absolutely nothing in the cupboard. So when we talk about the health and well-being of individuals, this isn't something that's somewhere else or only in the big city.
Oh, absolutely.
This is here in Portage County, where people literally have nothing in their cupboard. And so it's not only an empty bowl that we're working to fill, but those empty cupboards, so that those individuals, and empty lives sometimes, where there isn't somebody that's there to eat with or to bring a hot meal or whatever. And so we're really working hard, especially in our 2012 budget, to really emphasize hot meals in all of our rural areas of the county, where especially people who are aging in place at home can have a warm meal to eat.
You know, and that's exactly why one of the other initiatives besides the Giving Gardens, the mobile pantry that I referenced, that's exactly why we put the mobile pantry in place, because there are many seniors out in the rural areas who, as I said, don't have access to a car to go to Operation Bootstrap, for instance. But even more than that, what we found when we did a study was that they don't ask for help. Our seniors aren't going to call up a food pantry or show up with someone and say, I need help. So we get referrals about these individuals, and what makes it acceptable for them is it doesn't say mobile pantry on the car that drives up, for one thing, so they don't have that stigma. And someone personally is delivering the food and staying and chatting, and it's a relationship thing, and noting are there some other needs and making referrals and that kind of thing. And the mobile pantry serves about 60 households every month with bringing the food directly to them. We get donations of produce, not only from the Giving Gardens, but also from Triggs, for example, and other things as well. So we have a well-rounded package to deliver. We did a study with those folks a couple of years ago to say, how important is this? This delivery, and 70% of the people who were surveyed said, I would be hungry if it wasn't for this delivery. So
many, Lauri,
important.
And so many, as we wrap up with empty bowls in October 15th, there's so many people that would be hungry if it wasn't for the work that you're doing, the work that your planning teams and the work of the Hunger and Poverty Prevention Partnership. If it wasn't for their work, there would be so many more that are hungry. So I have to say thank you so much. This is like one of the things that is the most important, certainly in my own heart, but to so many folks across our county.
Well, and again, it's a lot of people who care. And that's one of the cool things about Portage County. So
yeah, it truly is. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Next month, I'm hoping to have somebody with the USDA here who will help us in dealing with grant programs related to farmers and others in rural communities, how you can tap some grant dollars. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.